Welcome, everyone.
Welcome. Hi, everyone.
Hi,
This is
everyone.
Ryan here.
So this is our 34th investor call, and we're keeping it pretty concise. I'll let Ryan give a brief overview.
Thank you, Kingsley. Yes, again, everyone, this is our 34th investor call, if you can believe it. Really excited to be here. We had another blockbuster month, and Kingsley can talk a little bit more about August.
Yeah, so this is probably one of the busiest months we've seen in a long while. There's a huge amount of deals getting done, and that's both SPVs and funds that we're seeing in the Slack. But before we get to August, I will start off with June. So we did probably our biggest deal in the Slack in June. That was Axiom Space, and Ryan can talk a bit more about it.
Yes, thank you, Kingsley. As you all know, Axiom Space we closed on in June. It was a mega $2.3 million SPV. Axiom is building the world's first commercial space station. If you think of SpaceX and launch companies as the transcontinental railroad to space, Axiom is going to be essentially a larger base camp for further aggressive space initiatives in low Earth orbit to the moon and beyond. And we're really excited about that one. They've received significant funding, closed on their Series A not too long ago, and are currently in the middle of their Series B. I don't know if we have Nicholas.
Oh yeah,
here.
we do have Nick now to talk a bit more about Axiom.
So Nicholas from the Venture Collective will be more than happy to give you some updates on Axiom. And thank you, Nicholas. Pleasure to have you.
Hey, everyone. Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Kingsley. Happy to give a bit of an update. So, as many of you know, we did a pretty meaty check into their Series A about a month and a half or so ago. Well, I guess maybe coming up to 2 months now, where we did 2.3 million into the Series A, and the company's gone from strength to strength since then. Continuing to build on the work that they've done with NASA and grow their contract base, such to the fact that they, in such a short proximity from when we invested, have recently signed a term sheet for their Series B, which is fantastic, and that's at a significant upside to where we went in, nearly 4 times where we went in, which is fantastic. And that round's going to be, well, the round was intended to be about 70 million, and then it became 80 million, and now it's looking like it will be somewhere between 100 and 120 million, which is fantastic. They've got about 60, which is between the lead and the co-lead right now, and they have a pretty strong pipeline of oversubscription for the rest, which is great. And so we're really excited, and actually excited to the point where we're actually going to participate in the B, I think, as well, which is great. And so in the next month or so we'll be wrapping that up and working towards an even bigger check into the B, which is great. And so that's on the Axiom side. And then on TBC as a whole, a couple more SPVs we're doing coming up. One into a company called Vidya, which is in the medtech space. They've worked out how to replace blood testing with saliva testing, which is fantastic, and they have biomarker data already that's proven that out, and some big commercial deals in the pipeline. So we're working on that as well, which is great. So yeah, thanks so much, Ryan and Kingsley, again, for having me in the community.
Fantastic. Thank you, Nicholas. Awesome. And so for July, we did SpaceX. So Ryan can talk a bit more about SpaceX.
Yes, thank you, Kingsley. So for July, as you can all see, we have 2 fantastic companies, both with an X at the end. Thought that was funny. SpaceX, as you all know, probably the most popular space company in the world. We fought hard and we were able to receive allocation into their Series N financing. It was oversubscribed, and really excited to be in that company. As you all know, they've had some recent successes launching the Crew Dragon to the International Space Station successfully, and bringing both Doug and Bob, the astronauts, back home recently. As well, they are in the process of launching their Starlink constellation which is running very smoothly. And their most aggressive project to date is the Starship, which will eventually be going to Mars. And they've recently done some successful hop tests and static test fires of their prototype. And it's looking like their timeline for that is definitely going at the pace they want it to. So it'll be exciting to finally see one of those in action. If you all want to look behind me, that's what the Starship is going to look like. It'll be capable of flying to low Earth orbit and beyond. So it'll be landing on the moon. It'll be going to Mars, and the goal of Elon is to have a fleet of these things going to and from Mars on a regular basis. Next up, we have Energy X, which is part of another revolution, the energy revolution, another revolution that Elon started with Tesla and his solar city companies. Energy X, as you all know, we recently invested in July. They are a renewable energy technology company focused on direct lithium extraction to make the battery material most cost-effective and abundant, as well as solid-state batteries to increase energy density and battery lifespan. So that's for July. Next, we have August, which is a blockbuster month. We've had, I think, some of the most deals that we've ever had in a single month. And first up, we have Heyman Capital Management, which is the Hong Kong dollar short fund.
We have Kyle as well, Kyle Wang, other Kyle, to talk about it.
Yes, Kyle, thank you for being here. I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, sure. So for those of you who've been here along the ride, I think that we can say that Allocations is probably the most extensively DD'd Heyman channel available probably in the world, right? So if you've been in the channel for a while, or if you're newer to Allocations and to this deal, I highly recommend just searching for any of your questions in the channel, and chances are it's already been answered, maybe even multiple times, right? But Heyman, Heyman's this is a classic widowmaker trade from Heyman Capital, Kyle Bass of a 2008 financial crisis fame, right? So the trade itself is pretty simple, right? It's a very, very highly leveraged bet against the Hong Kong dollar peg, right? So for those of you who may not be very closely following Forex, so in Hong Kong, the HKD is pegged 1-to-1 to the US dollar, right? So in times of economic growth in the US, the interest rates in Hong Kong need to match that of what the Fed sets in the US, right? So in times of growth, right, generally both economies can kind of grow together. But Kyle Bass's thesis is that the leverage in Hong Kong's banking sector, coupled with Chinese and escalating China and US tensions, right, will put a lot of stress on that peg and most likely cause it to break over the next 12 to 14 months. So the trade itself is, as I said before, 200x leverage bet, right? So if I believe the number was if the peg were to break by something like 35 to 40%, and that would probably be the most conservative case, you'd be making about a 30x return, right, after carry. And the number, of course, gets astronomically higher from there, right, as the peg plummets further, if the Hong Kong dollar sinks even further. But of course, the risk here, of course, is that these are essentially one-year options, right? So every single month that this event doesn't happen, you will bleed theta, right, until the very end at expiration, where your investment will go to zero, right? So there's definitely one of those trades where you don't want to, bet the farm on it, right? But it's very, very asymmetric again, right? Risking 1 to make 30, right? So it's something that's very, very interesting to look at. And I think I'll leave it at that. There's a lot of discussion in the channel regarding, the economics around this, the politics around this. And I think it's an interesting trade to follow whether you're invested or not. And I'll pass it back to Ryan, I suppose.
Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate it.
Really, really good analysis there. And I think overnight we had about 220K worth of pledges. So people are feeling like a gamble this month, it seems. But it seems to be like a pretty interesting trade. I think Winslow actually brought it to the group originally. I think he was in their bigger fund, and then they released this new higher leverage product. So yeah, great to be able to have such great analytical investors in the Slack that can help to crowdsource DD and you know, take really complex trades and to provide their own analysis on them. So thank you, everyone. And next we have Space Fund. So Megan can provide a brief update on Space Fund.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody in this group for being interested and involved with Space Fund. We really appreciate your confidence in us. Special shout out to Winslow as well for his contribution that came in outside of the SPV. But Space Fund's doing great. We have officially closed Fund 1. As of August 31st, actually, is our closing date. So not quite yet, but Fund 1 is closed, and we're moving on to Fund 2. We've now made 6 investments out of Fund 1. Expect to make another 6 to 7 investments before the end of the year. So hopefully in 2 weeks, after our investment committee has met, we can update you on the new companies that we'll be adding this month.
Fantastic. Thank you, Megan. And for all of these deals, we have channels in the Slack, and we'll post in announcements a link to the channels as well. Fantastic. And then Parify Capital is a DeFi arbitrage fund run by a friend, Ben Foreman, ex-KKR. And for that, I think we're up to about 130K in pledges, but I think the minimum to do the deal is somewhere between 250K to 500K. So if you're not already in the channel, just ping me or someone on the team and we can invite you. And then Browder Capital. So Joshua Browder, CEO of Do Not Pay, launched his micro fund here. And I think there's been about 2 million of interest, and some of us in the Slack have invested too. He was an early investor in Luminous Computing. So they're building silicon photonics. And I think Bill Gates came into that company too. Luke Nosik and I think Travis Kalanick, and also the current CEO of Uber. So yeah, he's been making some pretty good bets as well. And yeah, great to be a part of that fund. Okay, and then next we have Atmos. So do we have Sean actually to talk more about Atmos?
Yep. Hey guys. So Atmos is raising what they're going to brand as their Seed Plus. They have been speaking with 4 A-tier firms to lead this round.
And so Sam Altman, did he lead the previous round?
I don't think he led it. Actually, I think we could say he led the seed. He had the biggest chunk. It wasn't more than half the round, but he did put in the most capital in the last. Nick said he's in 5th place on the leaderboard. That's how he put it. With the other 4 founders in 1 through 4. And Sam has also recommended that they don't even raise unless they can get a valuation north of 25 to 30 for this particular round. They do have over 30 months of runway right now at the current burn rate, so it's not like they have to raise. It's more there has been interest from A-tier firms, and they kind of want to capitalize on that and get the right partner to work with. So that's kind of the basics of where it's at. They've already received 1 term sheet from one of those 4 firms, and now Nick is having, I think, final conversations with some of the others today and tomorrow, and we should know by early next week what things are going to be looking like as far as valuation on the round.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Sean, for bringing the deal, and we have a channel for this one as well. Next, we have Don Ho. So Don he's a Y Combinator alumni, and he's made a bunch of investments in YC companies. He's also from Pioneer Fund. So they are a fund of over 100 YC alumni that invest in YC companies. And Don's doing a demo day fund for this batch. I'm investing in it too. Don, tell us more.
Yeah, hey everyone. Great to see some familiar faces on this call. Really excited about the demo day that just happened this past Monday and Tuesday. By far one of the strongest batches we've seen in the last, I'd say, 2 to 3 years. At Pioneer Fund, we are actually 200 plus YC alumni. We've spoken to at least 75% of this year's batch, this cohort's batch. And to include that, there's actually about 20 startups from the previous batch that also launched on demo day this year. We find it very strong, and many of the companies I'll be selecting are ones that Pioneer Fund has had a relationship with for at least the start of, if not the midway point of YC. The 5 companies that I am seeking allocation for and will likely get are in rounds that are all oversubscribed. Companies include Finch, Yada Savings, Gemi, Future Fields, and Spenmo. Finch, I am most excited about. They are building the Plaid for payroll and HR data. So similar to how Plaid reverse engineered all these bank APIs, they're reverse engineering all thousands of different payroll systems, including Rippling, including Gusto, including ADP, TriNet, you name it. Their angels include the Brex founders, Vouch founder, Mercury Bank founder, and a bunch of others. And what we like about that is they are all operator angels who will likely integrate this API into their own applications. That's great because realistically, when you think about it in a banking perspective, having verified credentials or verified salary data is extremely important. You can imagine this in insurance and business underwriting. There's a whole slew of different use cases there. Certainly one that I think will be very, very hard to get in if you don't know them. Yada Savings is essentially what you have in the UK called prize-linked bonds. They allow regular users to win money and forego their interest. They've already grown to $30 million in deposits. It's extremely, extremely exciting. Adam Mullis is a very strong founder, and certainly you can see this growing very large. Gemi is actually a Cameo competitor to begin with. They are basically a Shopify for creators. But what I really like about them is the team. The 2 founders, one actually was a product manager at Facebook for the creator monetization team. And the other founder was a PM at Uber working on all things payments. What we find very interesting is they're going to basically focus on all non-video interactions going forward with the hook of just video. We believe that Cameo is gonna actually bet the horse in the house on video only. And this is where Jimmy can really take the market in both merchandise, one-on-one conversations, and again, other non-video interactions. There's Future Fields, which is the AWS of protein production. So rather than having every single synthetic biology food company create their own proteins, why not have one company just specialize in it? Also very exciting. And the last one I've been looking at is called Spenmo. It's essentially a Bill.com/Divvy cards of Southeast Asia. And they allow any SMB or middle market company for that fact to issue virtual credit cards, debit cards, and also do back office accounting. This is great because they're actually collecting alternative data for all their banks and originators. Their biggest originator today is Grab. Grab is actually leaning very heavily into fintech, doing SMB loans. Grab does not, though, have the spend or the income of these small businesses. So where Spenmo comes in is really becoming the trusted originator without having any risk of balance sheet and then just taking a cut of the origination. So really excited about all these companies. I would say that we'll see many of them with their funding announcements fairly soon, but there is a channel for it. And if there are any questions, please do DM me in the Slack.
Fantastic, thank you, Don. And again, just a reminder with all of these channels, we have the channel in the Slack. If you're not in the channel, feel free to ping in Ask Admins and we can add you into it. Fantastic. So next we have CheckStep. So Guillaume, who's in the Slack, sold his last company to Facebook, and now he's tackling fake news. So tell us more, Guillaume.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Actually, yeah, we are AI-centric team, but not only we are tackling fake news on bad content for website and publishers, but we are also realize that there is huge opportunity in making user-generated content much more efficient. You can think of a new type of double-click where platforms such as Quora, ask.com, Mumsnet, all the forums that actually are competing today with Facebook to be able to re-rank, to work on their ranking algorithm, to promote content that that is in their interest, and generate a new type of revenue stream. And when we realized that a few months back, we decided to go full time, and it has been going very well. So we are just raising a closed angel round only with people I know. And since I knew a lot of people within Allocation, I gave a small ticket there, but it's restricted right now. For the people I know, just to close an angel round, but we'll come back soon with a much bigger round. We have amazing investors, among them Generia, Charlie Songhurst, Ed Lando, but even the CEO and founder of Shutterstock, I mean executive chairman, John Oringer, several founder of Entrepreneur First, the VP of Google X. We have the program director of the Alan Turing Institute, which is the best AI research center in the UK. The founder of the Alexa, the X Alexa called EV, and so on. And of course, we have Allocation. So I'm very proud to be probably the earliest, the smallest company to have been part of Allocation. And I'm looking forward to see how it works in practice.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you again, Guillaume, for sharing that deal with us. And yeah, for CheckStep, we actually did a micro SPV. So for deals where there's only a small amount of allocation, we're able to set up micro SPVs to ensure that the costs are economical. Fantastic. So thank you very much, Guillaume. I'm excited for CheckStep progress. For September, let's look at the deals coming up. So we have E2MC and Raphael. So Raphael, could you tell us more about E2MC?
Yes, hi, and thanks for having me on the call. First, apologies. I was just at the Swiss Space Center in Lausanne, so I'm traveling. I hope there's not too much background noise. If there is, please let me know, and I'll try to move to a different location. Yeah, so as some of you guys know, I've been involved in the space sector now for a few years, ever since making a substantial personal investment, substantial in terms of personal net worth, in SpaceX a few years ago, and that obviously has gone very well. I've made a few further angel investments, but now decided basically recently last year to open up third-party, vehicles for third-party capital investing in the space sector. Partnered up with my partner Guillermo, who is one of the original founders of Space Angels, which is the original basically angel group for the space sector that some of you might know. And a third partner who was a partner with me at the same hedge fund, and he's also an ex-partner of Goldman Sachs, so a very senior Goldman guy, which basically is aligned with our philosophy that we want to really create a vehicle that has both space expertise, but also really deep institutional investment expertise. So some peculiarities about E2MC as a space fund. So we're closing currently Fund 1. That's basically done. It's going to close sometime in September. That's sort of, for us, almost a proof of concept vehicle. It's a little bit smaller. We have the investments lined up for it. We have some deals warehoused, some very attractive deals. And it's also sort of a friends and family type fee structure. It's actually 0 and 10. So pretty attractive structure, which will obviously, for Fund 2, that will look a little bit more like a regular fund fee structure. One thing where we're different, because Guillermo and I are both based in Zurich, and I'm actually German, we know the European space ecosystem very well, very excited about some of the companies here in places like the UK, Germany, France, Italy, a little bit less picked over than in the US. So some of the valuations are very attractive. Some of the governments, like in Germany, like in Luxembourg, and the UK, are extremely supportive of the sector. So we're going to be actually geographically 2/3 Europe, but also we're using a definition the European Union sometimes uses, where it's actually Europe plus some other countries. And one of the other countries which we're very excited about is Israel. And actually, we have one of our venture partners in Israel. We're very close, extremely close to the Israeli space ecosystem, and we actually expect great things there because, as always in tech, always in deep tech, Israel actually I think is very well placed to create some unicorn companies because you just have a really deep bench of engineering talent. It's relatively cheap cost-wise, and there's actually also local capital around to support these initiatives. Plus, because it's space, which is close to defense, the local government is also extremely supportive. So very excited about geographic focus, 2/3 Europe plus Israel, 1/3 rest of the world. So yes, we're going to look at US companies as well, and we have a very deep network there. But we also have deep networks in place and venture partners in places like Japan, very exciting for the space industry right now. Australia, also very exciting. Just yesterday I was talking to one of the IoT companies there. And Singapore, which has a few up and coming interesting space startups. So yeah, that's basically E2MC. Again, Fund 1 closing in September, and discussing with Kingsley and Ryan. So we're actually going to try to squeeze maybe a couple of allocation type tickets in there. That's probably going to be a minimum amount, but we're going to sort out those details. And then after that, it's going to be immediately into Fund 2, which, as some of you guys know, also we're currently part of the C-Lab Accelerator, which is also going to help us in terms of launching Fund 2.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Raphael, and excited for E2MC. Awesome.
Thank you,
awesome. So let's go straight to FTW Ventures. So we have Brian Frank, our resident clean meats expert, and you can give us some updates, Brian, on the latest fund.
Thanks, everybody. Yes, Brian Frank here, food and ag tech expert. We are getting ready to open up FTW Ventures 2, and I want to introduce it to the Allocations members as we've gotten interest in talking with us about future investment opportunities. Just a little quick update. FTW Venture 1 was our proof of concept fund we closed earlier this year. And just recently with Geltor, one of our earliest investments, receiving their $91 million Series B, we reached 2x on invested capital already. And so we've decided to early open up FTW Ventures 2 to capitalize on the great growth in food and agricultural technology that's going on right now. And everybody knows why. People are paying more attention to where their food's coming from. The technology to make the food is getting better, and we're really reinventing the food system from the ground up. We're going to be opening up FTW Ventures this fall. It's slated for September, but it'll be in the September-October timeframe. It's going to be a $25 million target fund with a hard cap of $50 million. It's going to be a very similar thesis to FTW Ventures 1, biotech, hardware, software, and SaaS, novel products, and maybe even a little bit of plant-based products and clean meat in this new fund. We are going to be writing larger checks and looking to lead rounds when we've been just following on or adding into rounds today. We will be adding Asia as another region that we'll be investing in. So currently it's a North America fund, but adding Asia. And we've got a lot of our great FTW Venture 1 LPs being moved over right now, which includes some high profile families in the food and ag system, an executive $4 billion food tech company. And we already have 2 pre-commits from new high net worth individual and family offices, one being the co-founder of Oatly with his brother. And so we've got great people from the food, ag, tech, and CPG world joining this fund. In addition, I invite you all to take a look at the DD FTW Ventures channel as we have an event coming up for APAC investors, and you're all invited. So please go and RSVP for our event. VP of International Growth, Nick Halla, will be speaking. CEO of Geltor will be speaking. And Jess Krieger of Artemis Foods, one of the most exciting clean meat companies out there right now, will be speaking at our event, as well as 6 different startups that we're good friends with will be showcasing their technologies. So we welcome the allocations community in. I look forward to answering your questions in the DD room. And just let me, Kingsley, and Nils know if you have any interest. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Brian. And as always, great to see your ag tech and clean meats deals.
Thank you.
Awesome. So next we have Orbit Fab. So this is a deal we previously did. They had some great progress, and I think we've been able to squeeze a small allocation at the same valuation. So Megan, tell us more.
Yes, as many of you may know, Orbit Fab raised their seed round in the fall of last year after graduating from Techstars. It was one of the kind of hot deals of the Techstars season. And since then, the company has received a $1.5 million SBIR grant from the US Air Force. The terms of that grant are that it requires matching funding, matching private investment in order to unlock the grant. So Orbit Fab had raised 1.15 million in the fall. And so in order to unlock this grant, they needed to raise that up to 1.5 million. So they opened a very small seed round extension, was really just for kind of current investors already on the cap table, but we were able to get allocations in, and like you said, Kingsley, get a small allocation for this group to get in on that round. What's really excellent about the deal is that the terms are still the same as they were in the fall, since this is a seed round extension. And the company has made significant progress since then, both on the government contracting side and on gaining commercial customers and traction and further development of their technology. So it's a really great opportunity, and was happy to be able to get this group in on the deal.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Megan. And yep, excited for the Orbit Fab deal. For all of the deals that we've discussed today, we have Slack channels for. So this is the Orbit Fab channel. The Heyman Fund is DD Fund, Heyman Fund. And Browder Capital, I think that is a private one, so ping me if you want access. Parify may be private as well, so ping me if you want access. Atmos, we have a DD Atmos channel here. For Don's YC Demo Day Fund, I think that's private as well, so can ping me to get access. And CheckStep is private as well, so ping to get access. And then E2MC, I think, yeah, it's private as well. Mademan in Silico, yes, that's private as well. And FTW Ventures, I think we have a channel for now, yeah. And Orbit Fab as well. And then Vidya is private. So great to have everyone on the call. These were some of the most popular deals in the Slack. If you have more deals that weren't mentioned today, we have two channels for you. So we have prospects. This is for deals without carry. And we have a format here with name of deal, personal investment, one-liner, revenue, investment valuation, co-investors, and background on the deal. This helps to keep the prospects succinct and easy for us to read. And then we also have, so anyone can post a deal in prospects in the Slack. We also have prospects carry. So this is for deals or funds with carry. And it's the same deal format. Fantastic. And yeah, for any questions for admins or things like that, we do have a Ask Anything channel. So feel free to ask general questions in here. Fantastic. Well, great to have everyone. It's an exciting month. And our next call will be in 2 weeks. But until then, we'll see you in the Slack.